And we'll start at the far end with Mr. Skinner, and then we'll work this way. Next time we'll work back the other way. And Ms. Steinkamp, you're going to be in the middle. All right, the first question, 2 minutes.
Opening?
Yeah, 2 minutes, yes. And so give us 2 minutes. Tell us who you are and why you think you should be elected mayor of Colleyville.
Thank you. My name is Mark Skinner. I certainly appreciate each and every one of you coming out this evening and spending your valuable time to learn more about the candidacy of the people that you see before you tonight. I am a 32-year resident of Colleyville. My children have grown up and graduated from the Colleyville high schools. I'm a commercial real estate broker. For 36 years, I have been practicing economic development in my business, and I understand it completely. I also have a wife, Valerie. We have 4 children. We have 3 grandchildren. And I have a degree in chemistry from the University of Texas at Arlington. I'm highly qualified to do the work that you see before you today. I look forward to the opportunity to serve this community. There are certain things that I believe that I can bring to the table. One of those primarily being a vision for what our city can be, not only what it is today, but what it can be in the future. I look forward to the opportunity to put that vision in place and to work that in a way that will make our community a more livable community. I believe that we've been lacking for some time in that area, that we have created some barriers for economic development. I'd like to see those changed. I would also like to see the attitude of our city change towards the growth and investment in our city. I believe I can do that. I have experience. I have served on the board of the Six Stones Mission Network for a couple of years now. I have served on various different leadership positions on professional organizations also. I know how to motivate people to be a part of a greater plan. I would like to see our city face the fact that we need to understand we are part of something bigger and better, and we need to conduct ourselves in that way. I look forward to that because I think I can bring that to the table and facilitate those changes in the city of Colleyville.
Thank you, Mr. Skinner. Ms. Steinkamp, if you could introduce yourself to us and tell us why you think you should be in the city council.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Steinkamp, and I'm running for Colleyville City Place 2. Thank you for coming tonight, and thank you, judges, for hosting this forum. Just a little bit about my background. I'm the daughter of 2 tenacious parents who risked everything to come to the United States. My mother escaped communist Czechoslovakia during the Prague Spring, and my father emigrated from India in order to become a successful surgeon. Both taught me the value of hard work and the dangers of an overbearing and controlling government where individual merit was not lauded, promoted, or respected. My parents had a love for this country and all of its possibilities. It was with this passion I was raised. I attended Tulane University, double major political science and history. During my junior year, I interned on Capitol Hill for Republican Senator Bill Frist, and that's where I learned the real importance of constituent services. After college, I earned 2 master's degrees, one in education and social policy from Northwestern University, the other in government and politics from the University of Virginia. In 2003, I was awarded the James Madison Memorial Fellowship to further study constitutional civic rights and responsibilities. I taught AP government outside the city of Chicago in a town called Lincolnshire, Illinois government. Last year, I was appointed on Governor Abbott's task force for academic credit and industry recognition. So why am I running for city council? First, I have a high regard for public service, and I love our community. I want Colleyville to keep its well-deserved reputation. Second, Colleyville has witnessed explosive growth all around us. We must plan for the future to maintain our quality of life and our city's infrastructure without suffering a massive tax burden. If you choose to elect me, I promise I will be a responsive and effective city council member for all the citizens of Colleyville. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Steinkamp. Mr. Bullock, would you like to take 2 minutes to introduce yourself to us? And
Sure.
tell us why you should be on the city council.
All right, well, I'm John Bullock. I've lived in Colleyville for 28 years. My wife, Patty, is a retired public school teacher. Between us, we have 5 kids, 4 grandkids, and a golden retriever rescue puppy, by golly. I graduated from Texas A&M. There we go. With a degree in economics, and I also have an MBA from the University of North Dakota. Why North Dakota? Well, when I graduated from Texas A&M, I went into the U.S. Air Force, and I was a Minuteman nuclear missile officer up in North Dakota for 4 years. When I left the service, I went into the field of information technology. I worked for a couple of large companies. One of them was Arthur Andersen. Another one was a big software company called Oracle. After working for those companies, I decided to start my own business, and over the last 25 years, I've owned 2 businesses of my own. I still operate one of those. I guess my passion is service to my community. I've been very involved in our local Rotary Club, where I've been a member for several years and been president of the club. For the past 9 years, I've been on the board of the Grapevine Colleyville Education Foundation, and I've been president of that for 2 years. And today was our golf tournament. That's why I'm dressed like this. I came right from the tournament. I've also been president of the Colleyville Executive Organization. I'm a member of the Colleyville Lions Club. I've been on the Colleyville Center Advisory Committee, and I'm a member of the Chambers of Commerce of both Colleyville and Grapevine. In short, I'm running for Colleyville because I love my city. I think it has a lot of potential, and I think I have a good mix of experience, skills, and relationships in our community to be an effective city council member.
Mr. Bullock, we're all grateful that you never had to exercise your training and break open the missile.
Would have made the news.
All right, Mr. Bullock, we'll start with you. 1 minute. Do you believe that any portions of the Colleyville 2035 comprehensive plan should be changed? If so, why? If not, why not?
Well, I don't know if it should be changed, but a couple of things that I think we should think about. One is, in the past, our city has been very much focused on, we've been against any kind of high-density development. And for most of us, we agree that a half-acre lot is the right thing to have, but there are portions of Colleyville, and I'm thinking specifically of the village at Colleyville, that were specifically designed for condominiums and shops. And I know in the past, the current council has actually purchased property to prevent some of that land from being developed with condominiums. And I think in areas like that, I'm not sure it's a change to the comprehensive plan, but it's a change in the focus of how we execute the comprehensive plan.
Ms. Steinkamp?
So I don't necessarily want to change it, but as an educator, I like research and investigating all avenues. So I think I'd like to add to it. I think we need a long-term sustainable economic plan, and we should be investigating every avenue. University of Texas Austin has something called the IC Squared Institute, where they specialize in bringing in small tech firms. Also, University of Texas San Antonio has a program that fosters an economic and regional development. We could be tapping into those intellectual centers to help us create smart, sustainable, long-term growth so that most of our revenues are not dependent on property taxes. We should grow other revenue streams because that will help us offset rising costs of maintaining our infrastructure in our city.
Mr. Skinner?
When we talk about the comprehensive plan that far out, 2035, you have to understand a couple of things that are happening within this general area of North Texas. Our population is burgeoning. It is growing rapidly. They estimate that by 2050, we'll be 50 million people in the state of Texas. We have to have a long-term plan for building infrastructure that will be conducive to growth in our community. We cannot continue to go down the road of a no-growth policy. We cannot be a barrier to growth. We cannot be a barrier to transportation. My ideas would be that we need to look carefully and very closely at our roads and thoroughfares in our community. We need to ensure that they will allow not only the people in our surrounding communities to navigate freely about the area, but that our citizens can navigate freely to and from the area. We also need to be very concerned about what will be in the mass transit plan going into the future.
All right, thank you. Next question, again, 1 minute. This also corresponds with a question which came in from the audience. As we all see South Lake and Grapevine and Euless all mushrooming with retail and commercial development, how should the city of Colleyville be involved in trying to increase, or should it try to be involved in increasing our retail and commercial tax base so that the we don't have as much reliance on ad valorem taxes. Mr. Skinner?
The first thing I would do would be to make a recommendation, if I am elected, make the recommendation to the council that we hire a full-time economic development director. Our current staff has not rehired since that position was vacated. However, they shifted that responsibility in and amongst the various different staffers on the city staff. No one operates at a full-time 24/7 focus on economic development. That is imperative that we be able to do that so that we can develop that particular aspect of our city. In addition, I would propose that we develop what I would call the Colleyville Retail Business Council. That will be a group of people moderated by city officials, county officials, and chamber officials. We will incorporate business leaders who own and operate businesses in the 26 corridor, Precinct Line, and Glade 121 corridor. We'll bring them together. We'll talk to them about what can make their business successful, and we will develop a plan in conjunction with them.
Well, I don't think Colleyville wants to be like South Lake or Grapevine. I think Colleyville wants to find its own niche, right? We have a lot of intellectual capital that we can draw upon from. I would like to attract businesses that don't tax our infrastructure so much, maybe small to mid-range tech companies, maybe some healthcare companies that could be on the periphery in those commercial area zones in Colleyville. And that would be a great way to grow our sales tax revenue base without really taxing. When I've gone around and talked to citizens and residents, they don't want a lot to deal with a lot of traffic. And so what are some ways we can mitigate concerns about explosive growth all around us, attracting the right types of businesses that our citizens would like to take advantage of, and really growing that tax revenue stream for us?
Mr. Bullock?
Well, I agree with what Mark and Vanessa said. I think one thing we really need to look at as a business owner, the economic development director of this town is analogous to the sales force of a business. And I don't know of any businesses that grow by focusing on cost cutting. You have to grow by focusing on sales. So that's, I agree with Mark, one of the things I would look at. Another thing is I think we have to have an economic plan. We need to be focused not just on sitting back and hoping that somebody shows up wanting to move to Colleyville. We want to have a plan of here's the types of businesses that we have something to offer and that we think would thrive in Colleyville, and then have a plan to go after those businesses. Another thing, an analogy I make to my business though, is that the most important thing I have is my reputation. And if my business is known as one that embraces opportunity, that is willing to do whatever it takes to help my customers, and that even cooperates with my competitors, then I'm going to be in a good shape as a business. And I want the city of Colleyville to have that positive outlook and reputation as well.
All right, the last 1 minute question we have. Each of you have written in various publications on the internet or Facebook or in responses to other questions that you are in favor of improving our parks and our trails. Tell us in particular what you have in mind if you are elected to City Council. Ms. Steinkamp, we'll start with you.
Okay, so just to clarify, I'm going to be answering how do we prioritize parks and my vision of that.
And how do you plan to pay for it?
Okay, fair enough. Well, I know the city of Colleyville has taken in more money last year than it did the previous year, and we all choose how we prioritize our money. I think one of the major issues for sidewalks right now is not sidewalks within neighborhoods, but sidewalks within ranges of schools where students cannot walk to school because there's not sidewalk connectivity. I can think two of my friends that they have to get in their car and drive their kids to school every day, where I think they bought their house thinking, they could ride their bikes, but along some of those roads, it becomes a little bit dangerous. So I would prioritize sidewalk connectivity, not in neighborhoods, but to schools first, where kids don't get busing, right, because they're within the zone, and then to the parks and trails so that our community becomes more livable. And I would reprioritize some of the money away from some of the current programs like the City Monument.
Mr. Skinner?
Vanessa was to the point in terms of priorities. If sidewalks and parks and recreation are going to be our priority, then the City Council must act as if it is a priority. This current leadership has dedicated a number of funds in the millions of dollars for pet projects which simply do not address the needs of a community. They address needs for stopgap measures to prevent other things from happening in our city. If we are to improve our roads and road structure, we can incorporate sidewalks into those improvements, and we can also do a better job of maintaining our athletic and ballpark fields. We've not done that. We have been on a cost-cutting binge with them, and there have been some lackadaisical efforts in that area, and they've been non-effective, and our parks and recreation fields have suffered dramatically for that. I'm all in favor of reprioritizing multiple millions of dollars that are available for pet projects into community-oriented projects.
Mr. Bullock?
As I've walked in neighborhoods and knocked on doors, probably the number one issue I've heard is sidewalks. We have communities where the kids live too close to the schools to have a school bus, but we don't have sidewalks for them to get to school, and the only option is for the parents to drive them to school, which simply adds to the congestion. So one of my priorities, as Vanessa said, is to build sidewalks primarily from a safety perspective. We want our kids to be able to get to school. We also want our residents to be able to do something as simple as take a walk around the block. And a lot of times in Colleyville, excuse me, they can't do that. The same is true of our ball fields. A few years ago, Colleyville had the most pristine baseball fields and soccer fields in the area. We don't have that anymore. A lot of times our fields flood, so we need to reprioritize it. I agree with what Mark said with regard to paying for it. Even Mayor Newton has said that Colleyville has plenty of money. We could do these things if we want to. It's simply a matter of making this a priority.
All right, this will be a 3-minute summation, topic of your choice. But in that, would you please describe what it is about your education, training, and experience, in other words, your qualifications, that makes you the best suited to be elected in your race? Mr. Bullock, we'll start with you.
All right. In running my business, we were always a small business in a world of large companies. A lot of you I know from some of the service organizations I worked with. I'll talk in particular about our Rotary Club. We were a very tiny Rotary Club trying to do great things in our community. And what I found in both a business environment and a nonprofit environment is one of the best things you can do is team. I also already mentioned about your reputation. But the way that we have been successful both in business and in a lot of the nonprofits I work with is by teaming with other organizations, is by being seen as an organization that wants to work with the county government, that wants to work with the state government, that wants to work with our school districts, that wants to work hand in hand with other cities and work together and try to come up with unique and creative solutions that take advantage of those relationships. So that's one of the things I would bring to the table. Another thing that I really focus on, you see this in business and you see it in politics. A lot of times it's very difficult for business leaders or politicians to focus on the long term. A lot of times people are more focused on what can I do to look good today? What can I do to get votes today? What can I do to reward my shareholders today? And I think it's very important in any branch of government, and right now particularly in the city of Colleyville, to focus on the long term. What are the decisions that we can make today so that our grandson, when he looks back someday, he'll say, you know, Grandma and Grandpa really made some good decisions. Today we have nice sidewalks. Today we have a safe environment. You know, they actually put some turn lanes into some of our roads and they're not as congested as they used to be. Today we have great ball fields. And I'll tell you what, most of all, we want to improve the political environment in the city of Colleyville. We want Colleyville to be seen as a place where our city council works well with other organizations, where it's not seen as something must be wrong with you if you run for city council. It's seen as this is an honor and this is a good choice that someone's making. I think that in everything I've done, I've been the type of person that gets along with everybody, I don't back down to too many people, but you can not back down to somebody and still do it respectfully. So that's the kind of environment that I'd like to bring to the city of Colleyville. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Steinkamp.
One of my favorite parts about being an educator is listening and learning from my students. And I would like to listen and learn from the citizens of Colleyville. As a graduate student, I like to research and investigate all sides of a topic. Judicious research is something I enjoy doing. I believe it is our job as those who serve to analyze all aspects of a side and triangulate information. On the task force that I've served for Governor Abbott, our task is to try and figure out a way to reduce the recidivism rate so the $3.3 billion TDCJ budget can be reduced. If you can reduce it by 1%, we save $13 million a year. So we've been researching out of the box thinking to come up with ways that we can help solve these problems. You know, as Texas has experienced this explosive growth, there are a lot of challenges, but there are also a lot of opportunities that we can come together and really, really solve some problems. I believe in building partnerships. I also am an independent thinker. A lot of people have asked why we are not running as a slate. One of the answers I always give is personal accountability and individuality are really, really important to me. My parents taught me to be an individual and take ownership for my individual merits, my attributes, and my actions. And as your city councilwoman, I will personally be accountable to the residents of this city and responsible for all that I do without placing blame to somebody else. My parents taught me at a young age to take ownership for my own actions. And again, as a teacher, I love listening and talking to people. It is my favorite part of my job. I have served in the classroom for, I'm almost embarrassed to say this, almost 20 years now, and now I'd like to parlay that service into my community, and I look forward to earning your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Skinner.
Well, if most of you know what a real estate broker does, I'm a commercial real estate broker and I have been one for 36 years. One of the hardest tasks that we are faced with as brokers are bringing two opposing parties together into an area of mutual agreement. I've been doing that for 36 years and I've been successful at that. I bring that skill to the table as a leader in this community and would do that as a leader on the city council. The ability to bring people together, to work with other people who may disagree with me, to work with other people who see things through a different lens than I do. It's important to be able to bring diverse opinions together and have diverse opinions be a part of the discussion process so that the institutions that we initiate, the projects that we initiate, are ideas that have been thoroughly vetted and that are good for the community. And I bring that to the table. Anyone that knows about economic development knows that a commercial real estate broker is intimately involved with that. To quote a farmer's insurance commercial, I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two. 36 years, I know what it takes to be successful in a business in terms of real estate. That is what our city offers to businesses. We offer real estate, we offer housetops, we offer traffic counts, we offer infrastructure. If we can build those that can accommodate growth, and we can look forward far enough to see what we'll be needing in the future, then I think we'll be able to accommodate new types of businesses and also to develop our rooftops, which are in fact what actually goes to the businesses and buys from the businesses are the people that live in those homes. So we need to build more homes in the city of Colleyville. We need to do it strategically in areas where it is merited with densities that are considerate of the existing densities. But we do not need to take an attitude that we are not going to add any more housetops because it might create a traffic problem. We're going to solve long-term our traffic problem so that we can build out our community in the best possible way. I want to be a leader to bring that to the community. I have the skill set to do that. I have the experience of having worked with other people in other organizations, bringing together and vetting ideas to come up with the best solutions. And I can do that and build Colleyville into a livable community that serves every single citizen, not just a particular sector of our community. I look forward to serving this in this community. It's going to be an experience that is going to be so enthralling and so energizing, and I can't wait because I love challenges. I'm ready for it. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, thank you for joining us this evening, and thank you for answering questions responsibly and on time. Let's give them a big hand.